The topic of the roundtable is spotlight on migration responsible media coverage. This is a suitcase that will go around from spot to spot where the action takes place around in Germany.
I'm very pleased to be here. This is the 6th edition of the Journalist Award. The 3 last editions were awarded in Monaco, which is not a bad place, but of course being in Berlin makes, if I may say, more sense. Why more sense? Because we are not on the shore of the Mediterranean, it's true, but we are in a place, I'm convinced that I'm not saying such a thing because I am here now, that you have the Mediterranean in your minds. I'm fully convinced about it. And it's not just about you, it's not just about the civil society. It's also about some politicians. And you have to know that Germany is the most important contributor for the Anna-Lindh Foundation, much more than many, a very important bridge between the 2 shores of the Mediterranean. And you have a huge experience in Germany about migrants from Turkish origin and other origins. So I hope this debate will be interesting and will fit a track we have in the foundation. We will have in a couple of months an important debate in Algiers on migration, and then migration will be one of the most important fields of debate of the Anna-Lindh Forum, which will take place next year in April in Marseille with 1,000 people. So I'm convinced that some of the ideas we will share today here will be interesting for us to fit all these debates. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the panelists.
Most subjects that many journalists are working on, because as you know, Morocco is like a door of Africa to Europe. So there are many immigrants from Morocco and coming from sub-Saharan African too, who like to immigrate to Europe, and then it was something really news in Morocco. But to see those 2 years with the financial crisis that some European, especially Spaniards, who are trying to immigrate to Morocco, it was something very amazing, and I was surprised by the subject, and then I tried to travel to the north of Morocco to focus on this subject.
With Spain, where we have huge unemployment. In Germany we have the second, as I heard this week, the 2nd oldest population in the world. Do we realize that? Do we realize that there is going to be a huge new question of migration, especially here in Germany?
I think so. I mean, there was just last week there was a summit at the Chancellery about this question of the demographic situation of Germany. So it's already arrived at the highest levels of German government, but I don't know if we can really do much about it, or if we just have to try to cope with the situation. There is no way we can reverse this trend just by doing A, B, or C. I would like to contradict the 2 introductory speakers because they both said Germany or Berlin has no access to the Mediterranean. Actually, we do. We have the Mediterranean is here. There's hundreds of thousands of people from around the Mediterranean, Egyptians, Turks, many Southern Europeans are here. So we have access to the Mediterranean in a metaphorical sense.
And this brings us to my book, Paradise Under Women's Feet. I decided to write this book in 2011 And this comes from out of 10 years of work on women in the Muslim countries. And actually I didn't know I was working on women in the Muslim countries, I just didn't know it. But then at a certain point I realized that each time I went there, I was always looking for women to talk to. And I went through my block notes and they were full of these wonderful women. And in 2011, so my book has two beginnings. One is a dinner. It's a dinner in Riyadh, the capital city of Saudi Arabia, with these wonderful women from Saudi Arabia. And we really had a lot of fun, like girls lined out. We were talking about like shoes, husbands, and holidays, and makeup, everything. And then one of them just stopped me and told me, okay, we are having a lot of fun, but then you go back home, and all you're gonna write is that we don't drive. Saudi women don't drive. And I just said, well, no, I'm not going to write that. I've been writing a lot. And she said, maybe I didn't write enough, because all the what the media say about Saudi women is they don't drive. So this was like, you know, an alarm, and it stayed there. Then 2011 happened, and it was the year of Muslim women to me, because of the revolutions, and they were in the front line of the revolutions. Then the Nobel Peace Prize arrived, and Tawakkol Karman won it. And I was the only one in Italy who had interviewed her before. I knew her before. We were talking on the phone. We were talking in Sanaa. Then when I didn't have access to Yemen anymore, we were talking on the phone. And then this Pakistani woman won the Oscar for the best documentary in 2011. And everybody was so surprised, like, just like, look what the Muslim women do. And actually I wasn't. I really wasn't. So I understood that I had the honor and the privilege to get to know the stories of these women, and it was my responsibility to share it and try to explain it. So, I mean, what I did in this series of articles that then became a book.
Everyone has a country, he's more connected with others. And so I'm not totally against dealing with special national issues. But times are changing so quick, and we have this globalization for such a long time now. I really wonder why the media is so far behind sometimes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would like now to bring in the last.
Heated discussions in the jury. I won't reveal any winners, but I think there are some issues, some questions raised there and here, which really fits in what we are debating today. But I would like quickly to make two notes. One, if I may say, it's a personal one. I left my country, Egypt, 22 years ago. I left, and I was an immigrant myself in France and then in London. And then suddenly I went back to the Middle East, to work in the Middle East. But I wasn't the only one. Now I am in the BBC Cairo office, and the CVs I receive from British, from French journalists who want to come and to work in the office. I think the number is much bigger than the headquarters in London now. And we have a mixed team. And this is something we need to think of. And even Salafi film, Karim was the director, but the cameraman who did this, and he went into these very hard-liners and into the mosques, is a British, white British cameraman, Jewish. And he went, and he lived with Karim. They struggled together. It wasn't an easy trajectoire, it wasn't an easy journey, but they were together and they did the film together, and it was for both of them the same discovery.
We get back very quickly to the idea of gendering the revolutions. Because we talked about gender somehow, although we should talk about migration, but I will try to link it. I'm a bit worried about gendering revolutions as Middle Eastern origin. And I'm a bit worried about remoticizing the revolutions, because the implementation itself, like we get the nicest stories about the amazing people who are outstanding, but also there's the bad side of it, that still women in Saudi Arabia cannot drive cars, unfortunately. And still there is a lot of sad stories that still maybe the shining part of the media to sell the idea of, not to sell in a bad way, but just to talk about how the Arab Spring changed the world and how the Arab Spring is becoming power is really dangerous, because the implementation of this is that the migration process for UK is much harder for me to go there, to get in and get out. And although I have been to Europe many times, I had to put my passport for 2 weeks to get the visa for 3 days, although my previous visa for Schengen was 1 year multi-interest. And I would share a very nice story, like very quick. Next to me there was a very nice American lady while we were in the migration desk. And she went to the EU citizen, and then they told her to go back. And then she said, okay, I'm all other citizens, like all other passports. And I wanted to say, okay, for all my years, I'm always all other citizens. Like, I'm used to it. We can't really split policies and policy making from media coverage. And because if you think about media, and back to the migration now, the story about the idea about illegal migration, whenever it comes in the news, it's about 50 people who are arrested on the shores of Italy, or a boat sank on the shores of the Mediterranean. But the other side of the story, that there is a human soul that was driven to cross the Mediterranean, taking the 50-50% risk, just driven by the dream. Not that there is boat that sink. A human being and a human story is much more important. So if you cover it by news, so you cover it because it sells. But if you're interested, invest to get the story of those people really, and invest to put money to live with them and share their lives, and understand that they are not only this guy who's trying to sell you this fake Rolex in the streets of Paris, or this guy who's carrying your bag, but there's a human being and a human story beyond this, not the interesting piece of news about